The Pfaff Stitch Creator is a special area where you can design your own stitches, you can alter stitches that are already in here, or even take a simple stitch like this and actually make it a triple stitch instead of just a single stitch. So when we get into the Stitch Creator, there is so many things to learn, and honestly, you just got to play with it. I just spent a couple minutes just playing around, moving stitches around, and seeing what I could come up with. Plus, if you've ever looked at somebody else's sewing machine and wish you had a stitch that they had, all you have to do is get a picture of it and start to bring it in here by adding your own stitches. So let's start off simple. One of the things that you can do is go to any stitch you want just by going to the menu and actually getting into one of the stitches. So let's go into this fun little Greek key look, and it pulls in the whole entire stitch. It's selected right now, so if I want to not have it selected, I can touch this button or select it by holding it down and getting all the stitches reselected. So one of the things I like to do is when it is selected is go ahead and add the 3 times feature. And what it'll do is make it stitch out instead of just a single stitch, but a triple stitch. It'll go forward, back, forward on every single stitch. And just to give you an idea, you can see the difference with just normal sewing thread, how much bolder it's going to look. So another thing you can do though is you can start to come in and take stitches away and see what you actually get. So if you just touch just let's unselect it. The last stitch is selected. If I just even use my one touch on the trash can and back it up a few spots, let's just go ahead for fun, bring it right to here. And if we just do the check mark, you can have it show you what you're going to get when it repeats. Now that's a stitch that I've never seen before, but you can come in here at any time, start with a new stitch. So if I just want to start over, I'll touch and hold the trash can, delete all stitches, and maybe just try another stitch. That would be kind of fun. So here's one, we'll deselect it, and even again, if we just back up a few stitches, not all of them, here we go, take out a few stitches and see what new stitch you can have. Again, all of a sudden, can you imagine if you played around with every single stitch in this machine, what kind of fun new stitches you can come up with? Now, back to that part about creating your own stitch. This would be where it would take a little planning. That's what the grid is for. And that center blue line does give us kind of a reference point, especially if we want to start or stop on any particular line. So if I wanted to just go ahead and start from what I have in here so far, maybe back up a stitch or two, at any time I can actually move a stitch that is selected. You can touch on a stitch and move it around, almost kind of like what you might be used to with a computer program. So if you need to add a stitch, you can come in here and add a new stitch and then insert or move that to where you want it to be. So at any given time, you can always add stitches. Depending on which one you have selected, it will add it to the end of it, and you can continue to move it around, placing all the stitch points. So you have to kind of think of like a sewing machine, where when you see a stitch actually created, that's where you need a point on the screen. So if you've seen your needle go in and out of fabric, make a point on this. Now I bet this isn't going to be anything too exciting, not at all, but you can see when you start with a stitch that you can actually have some fun with it. So sometimes here, just taking one of these stitches and even duplicating it and then mirror imaging it so we can combine some stitches. Let's just actually see what that one looks like. That's a whole new stitch altogether. So now we're talking. So sometimes I like to use stitches that are already in the machine, and then that way I don't have to come up with totally brand new stitch points. I can start with something, maybe duplicate it, and then mirror image it, and ooh, hey. And again, this is how I play. I am going to save that stitch because all of a sudden that's one that I actually am always looking for, and I love the way that's almost just a small little curly Q in the middle, and it's ready to stitch. You know what? We're going to stitch that out because I have never done that one before. So you almost just take some time, play, and then definitely see what that is going to look like. Let me show you what we stitched out and let you see how easy it is to create your own stitches in this machine.